No, Super Mario 64 wasn't always considered to be a creepy game. However, this drastically changed in recent years. There was always those low-effort creepypastas that usually consisted of Mario jumping out of someone's TV with But nowadays, it's incredibly common to see people discussing how this old classic gives them the heebie-jeebies. I'm sure Nintendo never meant for this to be the case. The only level that's arguably designed to be creepy is Big Boo's haunt with that thing I refuse to name. There's many reasons why Mario 64 is looked at differently over 25 years after the game's initial release, so buckle up cause this is gonna be a strange one. I find a major reason why Super Mario 64 became creepy is simply our technological advancements in gaming. Modern Mario games feature lively locations full of bright colors and smiling characters everywhere, but obviously, implementing concepts like that in 1996 on inferior hardware would have been impossible. The game is certainly bright and colorful, but many point out how the halls of Peach's castle are noticeably lifeless. I'm sure if we ever get a modern interpretation of Mario 64, this won't be the case, but yeah. Flooding the map with NPCs would have no doubt pushed the technical limitations of the Nintendo 64 to the extreme, making the game unable to release. This doesn't change the fact that Peach's castle feels abandoned. What could have been hundreds of subjects roaming the castle are now gone in the wake of Bowser's attack, leaving only a handful of toads left to guard the premises. I think being able to come up with these kinds of stories to explain away the technical limitations of Mario 64 is what makes people run wild with elaborate tall tales of possessed characters and haunted game cartridges. But I also think it's just how 3D games look during this era. This is a bit of my own opinion interjecting here, but something about the low poly graphics of Nintendo 64 games feels really strange with an understanding of modern gaming. Most notably, the fever dream that is Space Station Silicon Valley. And this isn't limited to Nintendo 64 titles, even PS1 games. Just look at Frogger 2 Swampy's Revenge. 5-year-old me was running up the basement steps seeing Swampy after hearing the cursed PS1 startup jingle. 3D graphics in the 90s are regarded as revolutionary, and rightfully so because we would not be where we are today without them. But that doesn't change the fact that they've aged like greasy fast food left out in the sun, and that includes Mario 64. I'm sure you've all heard countless times that looking up information about games in the 90s was hard because the internet was not readily available, so I'll spare you all those details. However, it's important to our discussion because the lack of internet access is what turned Mario 64 into a rumor mill. Mario 64 might just be the game with the most rumors tied to it of all time. And I feel this is another aspect that contributes to the game's creepy legacy. It has a reputation for being mysterious. Even after 25 years of playthroughs, speedruns, and the source code being inspected countless times by data miners, it still feels like there's more secrets to uncover in Mario 64. Maybe if I had run around the star statue in the courtyard 5,726 times instead of 5,725 times, I would have unlocked Luigi. Maybe if I follow Yoshi's exact path on the castle rooftop, I'll fall into a secret Yoshi level. These were the types of rumors that existed back in the day, and still persist in some corners of the internet, but realistically, only gullible kids are gonna believe them. And then the infamous Nintendo breach of 2020 happened, where many unused assets to classic Nintendo games were leaked online, including Luigi's scrapped model from Mario 64. This not only got rumors running up again at full speed, but it also lended credibility to the popular every copy of Mario 64 is personalized rumor. I'll briefly summarize that story since it's been covered to death at this point, but basically, it's believed that an AI exists within Mario 64 that alters each player's experience by either changing minor details or giving the player a hyper-realistic ravioli kind of experience. Essentially, the 2020 Nintendo breach made the community think, if we didn't know about Luigi's model for 24 years, what else might we not know about Mario 64? Another popular rumor attached to the personalization AI is the infamous Wario apparition. At E3 1996, Nintendo featured a floating Wario head in a similar fashion to the one found in Mario Teaches Typing, where he announces games and says, "You want fun? Wario show you fun." The low-resolution floating head is no doubt unsettling, and when you couple that with the fact that Nintendo used a Mario 64 location to place it in, you got yourself a Mario 64 rumor. Could the floating Wario head actually show up in my copy of Mario 64 and kill me if the personalization AI demands it? Yeah, probably. Out of all the creepy rumors the Mario 64 community came up with, by far my favorite is the 1995 beta builds of the game. Some creators actually went out of their way to create mock footage of what Mario 64 would be like if it was a haunted game during development, until Nintendo scrubbed it all clean for release. Footage you're seeing now is from the talented YouTuber Greenio. I recommend you check out their channel and experience these VHS style horror tapes for yourself. I'll include a link to their channel and the specific videos you're seeing now in the description below. Mario 64 having the mysterious reputation it does allows the game to have the right conditions necessary to spawn myths and urban legends. In fact, so many conspiracy theories are linked to Mario 64 that it would be impossible to cover them all without the video going on and on. While researching this video, I found there's an entire wiki dedicated to Mario 64 conspiracy theories. So with that being said, let's proceed to the final reason why Mario 64 became creepy. And that final reason is... people like to ruin their childhood. You might be scratching your head because there's a common phrase on the internet, "I can't believe you ruined my childhood." But there's definitely something more intriguing to uncover here. The idea that something you enjoyed as a child turned out to be sinister and you were just too innocent to realize is a fascinating thought experiment to a lot of people, and I find Super Mario 64 falls into this category. That's why so many creepypastas cover lost episodes of children's shows. Mario 64 is the perfect candidate for this type of storytelling, and it makes people look back on the game with an almost guilty skepticism. You don't want to believe Mario 64 could have been hiding something dark, and you obviously know it didn't. But through suspension of disbelief, it allows for discussion and creative works like Greenio's channel to prosper, keeping a quarter-century-old game alive and loved. Super Mario 64 isn't inherently creepy. It's like any 3D Mario game, only from a different era. You yahoo and yippee across the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Peach in bright, colorful levels while uncovering secrets and collectibles along the way. However, the technical limitations and rumors of the game allowed for a large community to gather around for creepy storytelling, which boomed in 2020 and lived on through 2021. Super Mario 64, creepiness aside, will always be a classic Nintendo game and one of the most influential video games in the industry. If you haven't played it already, give it a shot, and let me know if anything bizarre happens on your playthrough. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks and have a good one.